river wider than a mile. I'm crossing you in style someday. Peace. I don't remember the rest. Welcome, everyone, to week 2 of the Teacup for One Audrey Hepburn movie marathon. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees. And today we are talking about the movie that song was written for, featured in, at the very least. Tonight, it is all about Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's right. I said, what about Breakfast at Tiffany's? That was a song the cool kids listened to when I was in grade 8. I wasn't one of the cool kids. So the first time I listened to it was today. It's quite a toe tapper. Anyway, I'm so excited to dive into this movie. It's one of the first Audrey Hepburn movies I saw as a youngster. I didn't really understand it then. I think I just assumed because it was old, it was good. And having rewatched it now, I don't know if it's good. But I think some elements of it are really good. Mostly, let's just be honest, the true star of this movie is the cat. Speaking of cats, let's see who we have in the comment section, because I think my cats are here. First, we have Eliza Doolittle, speaking through my mom's account. Eliza loves the movie because it has her favorite color in it. She looks fabulous in Tiffany blue. Eliza does look fabulous in Tiffany blue. Although, did anyone notice that you don't actually see the Tiffany blue box in this movie? It's like it's a little black box that they give the ring in. Although they really only paid for the engraving. They didn't earn that box with their money. Just, yeah, something to think about. Next, let's see. I'm thinking this is Sabrina. Hello, I love this movie. I like Kat and Holly Go Lightly. Agreed. And then my mom says she loves this movie. She doesn't think Audrey was a perfect choice. She has too much class to play the character, but she pulled it off. Love her wardrobe. And I feel like I agree on all fronts there, Martha. Truthfully, I think she's very miscast. I almost said horribly miscast, but I don't know if I believe that. I don't think she was horribly miscast, but I do think Audrey was miscast in this movie. But she has some really great moments at the same time. And also, the wardrobe in this movie, it's iconic. It's iconic clothing. It's great. It's like every teenage girl and 20-year-old has a poster of Audrey with the cigarette holder and like a croissant hanging in her dorm room. So this movie did something right, even if it wasn't casting. Anyway, that said, let's bring in our first guest for this evening. It's Jeanette, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Jeanette, where what is your Tiffany's? Where would you go to have breakfast when you have a case of the Reds?
Oh, like if I could just be anywhere?
I feel like it has to be somewhere local to you, though, like a place.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm glad we clarified. Okay. So in that case, that said, I mean, where I live, there's only so many places. I guess my favorite is, I mean, they're all just really restaurants. So I guess it's not very exciting because like I just go to restaurants anyway. So yeah, I guess it's just this really cool restaurant in Annapolis called Preserve, and that's it. I don't know. There's
Okay.
it's Disney World.
Oh,
It's Disney World.
of course it's Disney.
So, but I can't say that because I don't live there.
Um,
So yeah, I don't know. It's just a fancy schmancy place. It's nice. Otherwise, I guess just eating on the beach. I don't know.
that sounds
Yeah.
delicious. I think mine is just a shopping mall. I got lots of joy. Well, not so much now that I work like a traditional 9 to 5, but when I worked nights, my favorite thing to do on just a regular average day was just go to public spaces in the middle of the day because I could, and they were like
Yeah.
pretty well empty, but it was just it had the same calming vibe of like taking a day off of school or
I
taking
mean,
work and
you
like
talked to me 10 years ago, it's a shopping mall for
yeah.
sure. Or really, I guess, let's be honest, like 20 years ago, if we're being. But yeah, I mean, I love a shopping mall. Uh, but I think I miss arcades and I miss like a variety of stores. They all just pretty much sell clothing at this point or
Oh
technology.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Miss the
yeah.
Disney store. Rest in peace.
Yeah, right?
I found out my local mall has a Tiffany's. It's yeah.
Yeah, I think Tiffany's has branches in stuff now. It's not quite as exclusive.
Yeah. Oh, except it's like it's a very intimidating storefront. Like they have a security guard standing there as soon as you walk in. Not that I went in, but I could see that.
Yeah,
And like there, last time I was there were 3 police officers just hanging out.
for sure. Yeah, I think they definitely still have that.
Yeah, but yeah, Tiffany's fun time. So wow,
Yeah.
what a movie! What a movie!
I would say though, I have to say you were saying every teenager, 20-something girl had a poster and the cool kids. I was such a cool kid that I didn't have a poster. I had one of those metal tin posters of it. I don't know where the heck that is now. But yeah, that was definitely in my first uh it wasn't an apartment, it was like a half of a shotgun house. My first place that I lived on my own. So.
I feel like the stereotypical guy equivalent was having The Godfather or Scarface as
Yeah,
posters
or
in the
Fight
dorm room.
Club.
Or Fight Club. And what I did was in my first dorm room, there was a poster sale at my university. And I didn't have The Godfather or Scarface, but I found Muppet parodies of those. So I had The Dogfather with Rolf the dog holding a cat. And
Yeah.
I can't remember who Scarface was. Oh, Scarface was Alf. It was Furface. So I put those up
Oh
in my room
wow.
as like a subversion of the
Yeah.
stereotype. And actually, Ben, our good friend Ben Gordon, the first time he came to visit me in my room because we lived in the same uh, like residence building, he said, Matt, I love that you have those 2 posters as Muppets because those are the posters everyone has. But it's like you said, I'm going to do that, but make it Muppet. I said,
Yeah.
Ben, you get it. You
Yeah.
get it, Ben.
I think you're right though, for sure.
Like I want a Breakfast at Tiffany's poster, but Piggy, just Miss Piggy decked out.
So that has to exist
It has
somewhere.
to exist. I haven't seen it.
That feels like it exists.
It must. It
Yeah.
must.
And with AI, I mean, what is it? 2 clicks away. So
You would think so, but you know what? I tried to get AI to show me what Marilyn Monroe would look like in Breakfast at Tiffany's. It refused. It literally said no.
oh, maybe they actually like pulled off the thing with her image where they can't like
I think that's the thing.
use it in AI.
I think they told AI, or I think whoever owns Marilyn's image just like somehow controls that or has a
Yeah.
stipulation. I wonder how
Or whoever owns the Breakfast at Tiffany's imagery.
Yeah. Yeah. So AI does have limits. So whenever the AI take over, we just have to all pretend we're Marilyn Monroe. And then they
Yeah.
can't help us.
Well, I guess you have to get there first before the people who do it get there.
Yes, that too. That too. Anyway, let's talk about the movie. Woo!
Yeah.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. Had you seen this movie before?
I hadn't. I'm ashamed to say I hadn't, but yeah, no, I've definitely had stuff with it on it, and I definitely dressed up as her for Halloween, and definitely never watched the movie. I think it was more like I don't want to say it was a lack of access because that's a lie because we grew up with Blockbuster, so that's a blatant lie. But yeah, I mean, I could have watched it. I didn't. I was watching horror films at the age where I probably would have picked this up as a girl. I just liked how she looked and what I thought her character was. I was very wrong about what her character is.
Yeah, Texan.
Yeah, sure, that too. Yes. I don't think we are ever supposed to really know where Audrey's from in any movie. That's the point of a transatlantic accent, isn't it? That you don't really know where somebody's from.
She doesn't even really do a transatlantic, though, does she? I
It
don't think she.
borders on it.
Maybe. I think My Fair Lady is the only one. I'll stand by. My Fair Lady is her best movie. I love My Fair Lady. I might change my tune in 2 weeks when I rewatch it, but from what I recall, I think that's the only movie where she successfully adjusts her dialect.
Well, that would make sense since it's the point of the film, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it
So
is.
that makes a lot of
She did it. She was.
Yeah, no, exactly. She's capable of doing. This one feels like the most forced.
I felt so bad for her because I felt like there were
Which
moments.
again makes sense with the story, I guess.
I guess
Considering where she's coming from, so intentional or not, good for her.
there were parts where it felt like Audrey, the actor, was trying to do an American accent that were just. It was like that's not what they sound like, Audrey. That's not what the vowels sound like. Come on now.
Yeah. I also think that I feel like with American accents, it's very much more noticeable when somebody is trying to do them because it doesn't sound bad so much as it just doesn't sound American. It's like you're just not there. But to our ears, obviously, because we have a very North American English speaking dialect. so we can hear that sort of thing. But like, I couldn't tell that she was ever trying to sound American in this film. I didn't know she was trying to. You just surprised me with that factoid. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't know
oh,
for a fact. It sounded to my ear like there were moments where she was making the attempt, and I was kind of okay with not knowing where she was from until the like her adult husband man showed up way too old for her, and he was like, "Oh, she's from Texas. She's Lula May. Here's a picture of
yeah.
her." It's like that's not Audrey.
Which I'm sorry, I don't know if you've seen Pearl or X, but it was somebody watching this film and went, "Now, what if this went really wrong when she left?"
Is that what Pearl
It's
and X are
I
about?
mean, very vaguely, it's just a farm girl that like leaves and doesn't believe she is who she is, or wants to be who she was. It just felt very that whenever that happened, I was like, what? I don't know. This whole movie was full of twists and turns that I didn't know were part of this story. I also, surprise, I've never read the book.
Oh yeah, I've never read the book either. I guess to backtrack, yeah, this was not my first time watching the movie. I watched it probably when I was too young to see it. It all goes back to that made for TV movie that I watched like one Tuesday night because nothing else was on TV with Jennifer Love Hewitt as Audrey Hepburn. It just made me think, who is this person that like delivered messages during the war? Let me watch her movies. And that whole movie is centered around her filming Breakfast at Tiffany's with Truman Capote talking about how she's the wrong choice. And then
Yeah.
in the TV movie, like she proves him wrong and she gives a captivating performance. But rewatching this, I'm like, no, Capote knew. Capote knew. She's not the Vision. But anyway, yeah, I watched this movie probably when I was 12 or 13. I had really no idea what was going on. The cat scene happened, and I said I can never bring myself emotionally to watch this film again. And then I did, and I was very uninvested for most of it because I felt like Audrey was miscast, and I kept thinking this movie would have been so good if it was
Hmm.
Marilyn. But then the last scene happened, and I thought, no, Audrey, you're perfect in this scene. Go get the cat. Go get the cat. Well, oh, look who's here
Yeah.
in the cat.
Where are you at, Alex?
Was
You
on
can.
Was she perfection though? Okay, well, should we? He is coming. He is coming. Should we wait for Alex to? No, we can start this discussion. No,
No,
maybe we should.
yeah, that's
No,
fine.
let's start.
He's discussing right now. He said
It's true.
Audrey was perfection.
It's true. He thinks Audrey was perfection. I think in her own way, maybe. I kept having in my head like the no too much information, Alex. I kept having in the back of my mind that thought of what would this movie have been like if it were Marilyn Monroe. And when you listen to the way that Holly Golightly speaks, when you look at what her backstory is, like a girl from like nothing, nowhere, Texas, building herself up into this fashion icon and just living without a care in the world, like that's perfect casting for Marilyn Monroe, who she was in real life and just what I think she excelled at. I don't know. I haven't seen enough Marilyn movies to know for sure if she would have pulled off the cat scene as well
Yeah,
as
I feel like with Marilyn, it almost would have been like posthumously would have been almost like prophetic and a little sad. I don't know, just because this
oh,
girl is so like, I mean, into the vices, I suppose.
yeah. I think my thing with Audrey as Holly is I think Audrey is just so she's so put together, she's so well composed, and she just has this like effortless intelligence to her that I don't think she can get away from on screen. I think all of those things are what Holly Golightly wants to be, but can't be. And I think that's kind of like
Hmm.
the heart of the story. I think Audrey is the picture perfect of what Holly is striving to become, but the story is that like that's not what she'll ever be able to attain.
Yeah. I could see somebody else in this role, sure. But that said, what I like about Audrey in this role is that she does kind of make it feel like, and I like this about a lot of movies that go this way, that anybody could be this messy. Like,
Yeah.
no matter who you are, you could be disorganized and messy and confused, bordering on sociopathic, maybe not bordering at all, maybe obviously sociopathic. I just saying. Yeah, I have no problem with Audrey as Holly. My problem is Holly in general, is the character. And I can't believe I'm saying that because she kind of is like this. and we can dive into this if you want about how I feel like this is kind of a beacon to the American society of what is to come in the 60s, being that this is 1961.
Mhm.
But I'm shocked that as free spirited and as like spinster and all of that, that she is, like wants to be, she's a free spirit, whatever. I feel like I said, like she's messy and she kind of goes about it the wrong way, which I mean, heaven forbid, I guess she's supposed to be what, 20 at this point because she was 14 in 1955 and this is 1961 when this movie comes out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I told you I wasn't messy at 20, I would be bold-faced lying to you. So, cool. This is a very realistic movie, I suppose. uh but yeah, I have issues with the character. I do feel like this is a movie, one of those movies that is a very enjoyable movie. None of the characters are the protagonist. None of the characters are the good guy or the hero. They're likable. I won't say nobody's likable, but they're not all great people.
Oh, no, definitely not. They're all very
Yeah.
screwed up.
Which
I think
I feel
that's
like for the times is a unique thing in a movie.
Oh, I was shocked at what they got away with for when this movie was made. The fact that she's outright saying, like, I charge guys $50 to go to the powder room with me. And like they're not subtle about what that means or what she's doing in
Yeah.
the powder room. And yeah. Yeah. Yoda for Mark is saying he can't picture Monroe as the manic pixie dream girl. Is this the movie that set the standard for the manic pixie dream girl trope?
I suppose so. I mean, I'm sure if you looked back, you could find there's got to be some like jazz girl film that's, like something like that. But yeah, I suppose like mainstream zeitgeist. I can't think of another one other than maybe a Marilyn film. But that's not Manic Pixie Dream Girl. That's like Bombshell Starlet.
Yeah. Yeah, people like I've seen more than once the statement that Audrey is the original Manic Pixie Dream Girl, and I never really saw it. But then watching this movie, it started to kind of click into place, especially just all the scenes when she's taking him out on the town, and he's like, "Oh, I'm the quiet, bookish type." She's like, "Well, no, you need to steal from the store because that's what I do. Look, come into the store and steal with me." And
Yeah.
what's more, I still can't buy. I can't buy Audrey being that person, but yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, it's kind of cute because again, maybe it's unintentional. It sounds like it's unintentional because she was cast, but she is supposed to be acting this way. She came from somewhere else. So like maybe the fact that she doesn't fit this is good. Maybe it's supposed to feel unauthentic. Like that guy said she's a real phony.
that's true. That's true.
I loved that because I've definitely felt that way. I'm like, look, that's kind of like the you do you, own your ish type thing. Like do the thing that is you, but just make sure that you tell everybody that's what you're doing.
Oh gosh, Holly Golightly. I'm waiting for Alex to join because I want to pivot into talking about how it compares to the book or what I know of the book. And
Oh, has he read it?
he hasn't read it, except I was discussing it with him earlier today, specifically the ending and the cat ending. And then he gave his like quick review of how he would have preferred it ended, and he more or less exactly described how the book ends, which I thought was really
Oh,
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
I know.
Um,
I've also not read the book. My understanding is that the book, like, it's such a Hollywoodization, seemingly this movie of what the actual book is. In the book, Paul doesn't have a name. He's just kind of a nameless narrator, and he is very much Truman Capote, kind of writing semi autobiographically. I think the
yeah,
writer is either confirmed or suggested to be gay, and so Holly isn't a romantic interest. She's just someone who fascinates him, like as a friend.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
feel like that specific part that you just mentioned is so that's very realistic. Like I would imagine that he would at least be bisexual. Like as far as like a male escort situation, like that's pretty common. It's pretty common for most people in that line of work to be at least flexible.
then
So I've thought that again, like 1961, presuming they filmed this in 59 or 60, like that's pretty bold to make even a strong suggestion that any of that is going on.
Except, do we think in this movie he was necessarily portrayed to be a male escort, or more just like a guy who had a sugar mama who was paying for his life? He was like
Both.
he was a one lady person. At least that was my
Yes.
interpretation in this movie.
So I think both. Like, yes, he's a one lady person, but you can't that well runs dry eventually, and you move on to somebody else. Um, so yeah, I think because that's kind of how that situation works. Um, Whereas she moves a little more quickly. She's just a date girl. Like she's a arm candy, have a good party girl, you know? And so yeah, I mean, I thought that was all like painfully obvious. The talking about alcohol, the confronting about, using substances. It was, yeah, I don't know. And like the not confrontation of chauvinism,
Mhm.
but that thing where when you lay it bare for people to see, they can do with it what they will, which I appreciate more than like taking up arms and having a big message about it. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was wild for the time.
Yeah, it's also, I almost feel like what Paul has in this movie is what Holly spends the whole film trying to get for herself. Like just one person who's well off that will give her a good life, that will like buy her the apartment, give her the
Hmm.
$1,000 to just go on a weekend getaway with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that lady was interesting to me. She was just so nonchalant about all of it. She just said, "Oh, so there's another woman? That's fine."
So, okay. So, can I say this? That's a great introduction to this thing that I said earlier. So, I'm sitting there, and this was when I looked up what year it actually came out. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this is very like talking about like free love and swingerdom
Mhm.
and polyamory and infidelity and all of these things. And that's when I looked up what year it was, and I go, if people didn't see the free love and swinger movement coming, and even moving into the 70s of just kind of like this idea of open relationships and things like that, like that whole era that lasted well over a decade, how somebody can't watch a cultural touchstone movie like this and go, oh, that's what was boiling and happening, because these were like, we were supposed to at least mildly admire this woman. I mean, because she's pretty, right? Back then, that
Oh,
was kind of what got you admired. And so your character was attractive. You're the good guy. Like, that was kind of how it went. So I feel like we're supposed to not feel like they're bad, maybe questionable morals for the time. Again, like we're viewing this through today's lens, but
I almost feel like maybe that's part of the appeal to Audrey playing this role during this time period, just to take the actions that Holly is doing and, I don't know, channeling them through someone that couldn't be unlikable or demonized whatsoever.
yeah.
Because if you just look on paper at all the stuff Holly is doing with like the powder room escapades and like helping the what's his face, the guy with the weather reports, and what else did she do? Are there drugs
Well,
involved?
just the general, like, and I mean, look, I kind of am this person. I don't hang pictures on my walls very much. Like, I got pop dolls. I'll put these things up, but like, I don't hang a lot of pictures and stuff like that. So, but just the general kind of like transiency of her apartment and the fact that she doesn't name the cat,
Mhm.
and she's very intentional about nobody owns me and all of this. So I feel like all of that in and of itself, we're supposed to kind of see like, oh, okay, she doesn't really know where anything in her apartment is, and she's living out of suitcases and all of the.
Oh,
Are
yes.
you ready? I thought you were reading Alex's message for a
No,
second.
no, I was. And then I was contemplating what I want to touch on next, which was kind of branching off from that and then going into, you mentioned chauvinism earlier. I thought it was interesting how there's the argument when he's like, I do own you. And she says, nobody owns me. Like, what do we think the movie is trying to preach, that ownership of people is a good thing or a necessary thing? Or like, does Holly have it right? Because I know I'm torn. I'm torn on how I feel about that dynamic as it's presented in the film, but then also just the idea in general, because it rubbed me the wrong way when Paul said like, I do own you. People ought to be together, or whatever. Like, I understand the intention, but the verbiage is weird and feels very, yeah, like 1960s chauvinistic.
To me, the whole point of that whole story of the owning, nobody owns me, whatever. I mean, I guess there was a very real aspect of it again in the times, because most of the states still, if you got married, you were now property of your husband. So like
Oh, true.
that was an actual thing. But then there's the also kind of metaphorical thing of it all. And I assume that's what she's talking about. Who knows? I viewed it more as Paul's point of view was they were, and he was obviously a little more hip to what was happening than she was. I think he could kind of see everything a little bit before her. Is that companionship is companionship. Like, companionship is what it is. It's not ownership. But she couldn't feel that yet. It just all felt like ownership. Which again, I mean, if she's supposed to be 20 at this point, or 21, it's a really accurate depiction of what a young woman is feeling at that age. I like, at least majority to me, I did, many of the other girls my age did, like, you are feeling this, like, yeah, sure, I want a relationship. Nobody owns me. Like, that's not happening. But I would very much like companionship. But like, you can't find that if you aren't willing to give somebody something of yourself, right? And I guess that's what cat is supposed to symbolize, right? This is all happening. I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to go back and find it and hope it's salvageable. Oh my gosh, it's salvageable. One of the best kisses at an end of a movie, though, because there's a stinking cat in between them.
That cat in some moments gave a better performance than Audrey.
And oh my God, when she's tearing up the room, I was like, get it, cat.
I know. Wait, private chat. Probably. Okay. Well, Alex is here. Look, everyone, it's Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Alex,
yo.
When you said the thing about how women were considered property, Alex did a little dance.
That's Matt's allegation. There is no proof that happened. None. That's all I'll say on the matter.
That didn't happen. Alex, welcome.
Thank you. Did you? So I missed the like. I mean, Matt, you should more or less be aware of how much of this conversation I did catch at the end there. But there was a period of about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes between me doing my business and then setting up this thingy here that I missed. So I forgive me if I either rehash something or whatever. And I don't know if did you guys take my prompt or no?
Well, we didn't outright, like, we sort of just touched on it without crediting you.
Okay. So you did
talking about what the movie says about gender roles, how it walks two lines, kind of contradictory. And yeah, like I think the interesting thing putting Paul up against Holly, kind of like I said, I think Paul walks into the movie with the situation that Holly ultimately wants, and he almost thinks nothing of it. It is like showing two sides of the same coin, I feel, which is interesting. And that's something that went over my head as a kid when I was watching it. I really had no sense of what was happening from Paul's perspective. And yeah, I think Paul's existence is just very interesting to me.
You know how I know that they never were going to like do anything with the Paul getting caught by the husband storyline? Like, that was never going to be a thing, because when they did the shot of the husband, they did not show his face. They just showed him from like the chest down. And I was like, oh, this guy is a nothing character. We are not supposed to care about him.
Lula May or whatever?
No, like Paul's sugar mama's husband.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So like, they never really did anything. She could have been married. She could have been not married. It would not have affected the story, other than more infidelity happening, like the world of infidelity spreading. So
what is there a scene that kind of suggests that there's a danger of him getting caught? Does he run out?
She thinks that the husband of Lula May is somebody following her. She's like,
oh,
I think Jim knows. And this guy. It's not him, but the fact that she's all freaked out about it and then she leaves later, kind of like, oh,
Yeah, it's actually, that's interesting that you bring, because like I kind of like, I forgot the moment it became clear that yeah, it was Doc, whatever the heck his name is, Lula
Hudson.
Mae's husband, Doc Hudson.
Yeah.
So Doc Hudson, or no, whatever,
It's
just
from
Doc.
Cars.
Doc.
That's from
I
the
feel like it's
movie
Doc
Cars.
something. She says
It's Doc
Doc
Holliday.
Ock.
Oh yeah, Doc Holliday. Of course it is.
Or no, Go Lightly.
Go
Doc
Lightly.
Go Lightly.
No, I know, but I feel like her
Holly
like pet
Holiday.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, her pet name for him is like
It's
Doc something, but
Doc Go Lightly.
Doc Ock. All right, but anyway, yeah, for me, I kind of like I immediately forgot about that whole thread, if you will, once it was revealed who the guy was, and I guess kind of retrospectively, I feel like it's an element that I think potentially fits in my impression of this film, which is that it was more or less it felt like a very real film to me, but like Audrey's acting style to me was very like natural perfection, but no natural and just like and effortless and so like it was so interesting.
Drunk acting.
I mean, again, I don't.
Good drunk actor. I think she won the Oscar for Roman Holiday partially because she was like really good and funny in the drunk scene. And I'm not being facetious. I think that's a thing.
And that's another film.
Yeah, Roman Holiday was her like breakout film that she won the Oscar for.
Half of her drunk acting is her rolling her eyes back in her head and like fluttering her eyelashes. I'm like, what's going on here?
No, I enjoy her hungover acting in the first scene with Paul when she answers the door. And
she does a much better hungover than she does a drunk. Yes.
Yeah, and I won't like I didn't I was sleep deprived watching this film. I won't say that like I didn't analyze it to that level, right? So I'm not, when I say it felt real to me, it wasn't like I'm saying that from like a
because everything else felt like a hallucination. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, but there was something about both her like ease on screen and like the way the film was shot and directed, like one scene that I noted that just kind of in my mind exemplifies this is if you remember when so basically there's a scene where Paul is like making his way through that big rager at her house.
Yeah.
He's walking through the room and there's this one woman who's like clinging on to him. And the way, if you remember, and then he eventually and it's so sloppy, like, and just clunky. And he's like, you can see, it just looks like somebody filmed them legitimately trying to make his way across the room while this woman was hanging off his back drunkenly,
those party goers at that party, man, I gotta say, those party goers were wild. I was like, what were these parties like in like what's going on?
The late
Why
50s,
is this woman
early
crying?
60s.
Why was this woman crying in a mirror?
In the mirror.
Who is this woman crying in the mirror? I don't know. We don't know who these people
But she's so committed and it's so good and it's so natural. Again, is it realistic? I don't know what we're doing, but it just felt right.
There was no rating system back then, right?
I don't know.
There was. Okay, there was a scene again, 1961. I couldn't believe they did it. There was just a straight scene that was like, I don't know, 10 seconds, maybe 10 seconds long, maybe 6 seconds. I don't know, short, but like long enough to be like, here's a scene of a woman in like the tightest pencil skirt, really mermaids, but it's like tight skirt I've ever seen, with a badonkadonk and just like shaking her butt in the camera. I was like,
was that when they were at the club? Like
no, I think it was her apartment party. I don't know.
Yeah,
there were like 3 parties in the first half of this film.
That's the Hollywood nightly lifestyle.
I know. I was like, again with the 20 to 21-year-old, like everything blurred together in this movie. I was like, what party is this? Why is this party happening? And I was like, oh, that was what it was like to be 20. Why am I here? Who is this party for?
And all those people
where do I get a drink?
Were like 40. Like they were going to the kids' party.
They were old. They were all enamored with the kids.
If you notice, the women were like, I mean, there were some older women, but there were definitely some women that were like not far off from her age.
Yeah.
She was pretending to be older than she was. True. But I mean, she looked plenty young. To that effect, I don't know. bet they would say in the write-up how old she's supposed to be, but if they did the math right, then she's 20 or 21 because the guy said she was turning 14 in 1955.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
But she was 31 when she
they
made
filmed
this movie. So yeah,
It's 31.
And she looked quite young to me. I mean, I'm not. I don't
31.
pride myself in being good at assessing people's
well,
ages.
she's also just super petite, right? So that
Yeah.
does something
Yeah.
for the childlikeness of it.
Mhm.
And I don't know. They also, it's interesting. They make suggestion of how skinny she is in this, whereas I feel like they probably didn't make mention of that in the 50s film. Like, I feel like, when was the last one we watched? When was Sabrina?
It was like 54, I think.
Yeah, like, no, they just made mention of how beautiful she was.
Mhm.
So again, this cultural touchstone of like, maybe we're moving away from this image of the smallest waistline possible a little bit. Like, obviously there was still huge body stigma for a long time.
She also called herself fat.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. At the end of the film, she says, "I'm at the like in her penultimate meeting with Paul." She says, "I'm so fat," or like effective. Like I'm pretty sure she used the word fat.
But I'm so happy.
Yeah. And meanwhile, she says
like she's been sitting around eating.
Yeah,
and
although she doesn't.
Oh, right.
Any different. If anything, she looks thinner.
But I like how they did make mention of that. And so you get this image of like, okay, yeah, moving into the 60s, women did, they were showing their breasts more. They were showing their midriffs, and they had hips, and they wore bell bottoms that accentuated their hips. Like, the silhouette was changing.
Yeah, and Doc, you're right. Doc's like,
I feel like and I feel like Paul made mention of it at some point.
About her?
Not when he first met her, but like when they were first getting to know each other. I feel like he said something, because I took note of it in my head. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, so I don't know. I feel like this movie, whether you like it necessarily as like what is entertaining, I kept finding things in it. I was like, oh, this is very turn of the 60s. Like, oh, this is what's coming.
Yeah, and it's so crazy to think that this is only around 5 years after Sabrina, and also kind of takes place in the same chunk of the US, but they feel so worlds apart, like culturally and in terms of time period. And Sabrina feels so almost fairy tale like, and this is so like 1960s Sex in the City vibes.
Yeah. Because it was like, I feel like this might have been the first age where it was like girls were, this was like kind of, I don't say the dawning of the teenage magazine, but like kind of this image of like what you wanted to do in your social life that wasn't just what everybody else was. I don't know, like she is a dumpster fire, right? Like, this chick is, she's crazy. And like, I don't know, but it was like, you're supposed to find her charming, and I don't think that's flying in the 50s.
Timber.
That was funny. That was very modern. I felt like that was good.
Yeah, that was that stood out. That timber moment was an exception to my like real feeling of the film, as it were. Not that I didn't like it, but it just kind of was one of those moments that kind of was a bit heightened.
Forced on Audrey's part. Like, it felt very unnatural.
Yeah, that's kind of maybe natural is the right word.
Joke, and for yeah.
No,
I do agree. I just think she has a very effortless, natural quality to her when she's on screen. And I think it works sometimes better than others. Like I said, like I think the last 15 minutes of the movie, everything from when she's in the cab onwards is like perfection, no notes whatsoever. I think it's great.
I have notes.
You have? I thought you said perfection.
Perfection out everything except the last 15 minutes.
What do you have this last 15 minutes?
The weird involvement of the Brazil guy I don't know. It felt like that part in a movie where they've done the thing twice already, and you're like, okay, shall we do it thrice, or shall we wrap the film up now? And
but the third time it has to change, and it did.
Did it? I was just like, we could have done it. We could have done it once, and then the second time is like,
it's the same. It's the same
I find
thing.
It works a lot better when they do it 3 times in a movie. Whatever it is, like whatever the thing is that the person is supposed to overcome, it drives me bananas. Especially after they like went through this thing about like, he's here, he can't be at this party, he has to get out the back door, he's gone for the entire rest of the movie. I don't know. It was this very like 11th hour, like,
Hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, it was
Shower, is that the
very,
phrase?
like,
Whatever.
it felt very on brand though for Holly from everything.
yeah, it was the same
we saw
line
her.
of the rich guy, right?
Yeah, she's just like she's going from
Same
one person
tactic.
to another. She's constantly in this like this revolving door pattern of I'm going like she doesn't learn from the mistake. She just thinks the next guy will be the one that will solve the problems, that will give her what she wants, and then it never is. And then she throws the cat out of the taxi, and I cry.
Yeah, okay, that can we say this? She's already not. Again, I don't want to say she's not likable because that's not what I mean. But I just can't think of a better description. She's already not a role model. Let's say that. Like she's already someone that I'm not looking
Debatable.
to.
I debate this.
But then towards the end of the movie, you're gonna show me animal cruelty out of her. And then I'm supposed to, in like a couple minutes later, completely 180. Like I was already teetering, and then she does this, and now I'm like, good. I hope you end up alone. You dumb.
It's not animal cruelty. She's releasing it back into the wild.
Also, what year did the Humane Society or whoever does it start doing the no animals were harmed? That cat was
oh yeah, that cat was drugged and beat the shit out of.
Oh yeah, when he's like, "Oh, let me make sure the cat's okay." Opens suitcase, takes
takes out a basically comatose cat
back in the bag.
Yeah.
No, that was sweet. He was like, "Look, I have a cat for you," and Cat was there. What got me was when he's like,
I was like, "Is that a real cat or a doll?"
Like basically throws the cat across the room. That was hard to watch.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Well, that could have been a dummy, maybe.
No, that wasn't. That was a real cat. That was
and then that cat was like genuinely soaking wet. I've never seen a cat so wet before, ever. I was like,
that cat. It's no longer a real cat.
Yeah, and that cat.
Oh my god!
Performance in some scenes.
Yoda from Mark said, "Being told you remind someone of their brother is the worst." And I think, honestly, again, totally on brand. She is from Texas. So I'm just throwing it out there. This is really good character development.
Is that like an Alabama thing? Is it?
I mean,
southern?
You could say Kentucky, Arkansas, but I mean, we're a melting pot of people.
Okay. I'm just trying to pick up the drift.
Let me not exclude any viewers either. I apologize to any. I actually love Arkansas. I can't say the same for Texas. I'm sorry, but
I love Texas. Texas is nice. I like Texas.
They have good concerts.
Pros and cons.
The only reason I ever go there.
Okay. Yeah, I like Texas because that's where they had a Target that I went to when I worked on the cruise ship. So
I got a Target. You come
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. But your Target wasn't my little slice of humanity that I got every 4 days when I got to walk on like solid land and get off of a boat. So Texas holds a special place in my heart for that reason.
Welcome to Target.
Yeah, what?
It's uncanny, isn't it?
Alex, tell me what issues do you hold with the last 15 minutes of this movie?
No, so I guess to me, well, it probably ties more to what I told you privately, which is that to me, the ending of the movie is like the only corny part of the movie. Like it's like the entire movie is
the only good part of the movie.
Developing this like sometimes this messy, natural feeling picture of people, and it's presenting a really, in my experience, interesting argument. And that's what I was getting at with like the contradictory lines of like, on the one hand, you have this like empowered, free spirit character who for me, the movie is like more or less on the side of like it's not outright saying like, this is the way to go, she's right, all these other people are wrong if they contradict her at all. But it's also to me, the movie was like presenting her in a more or less protagonistic light, and which is, and I also think it's interesting asking the question of what are there things that we're taking away from this movie, or that I'm taking away from this movie as a modern audience viewer, that the audience at the time would not have taken away and would have seen differently? I think the answer is yes. No, great job, Alex. Great theory. No, but I think like on the subject on this subject of like how we're supposed to view Audrey's character protagonistically or not, and Paul and all that kind of stuff, and how we feel about their rightness and wrongness. I know, Jeanette, you made the point before I came on of saying how there are no like good characters to an effect in some sense, and I think that maybe that's not necessarily the case at the time. Maybe I would argue maybe Paul is actually more of a clear protagonist for the period, and that he doesn't necessarily do anything especially considered wrong, or misogynistic or anything for the period. The idea, like you're talking about the sense of,
I think it's pretty edgy for him to like be the side piece for a rich woman and
an older woman who's married.
Oh yeah, so I guess maybe and that's true. I guess that's sleep deprivation
and be getting money for it, not just like, oh, we love each other or something like.
Yeah. So I guess I'll walk that line. I meant more so with the dynamic between him and Holly, and sort of the idea of like ownership,
who he is to her.
Yeah. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, the movie does like it establishes this. The whole movie establishes this dynamic. I think of like, it begs the question. Like, hold on, like, what is Holly's like way of life going to work? How is it going to work out for her? Like, it's kind of establishing that question. Like, we see the journey, we see certain consequences, but there's still this open question. Like, okay, she keeps doing the same strategy, keeps going for this rich thing, whatever, and doing what she wants, and rejecting this notion that anybody in her life can possess her or influence her in that way as to make her feel any kind of obligation to anybody else in her life, including Kat. And it kind of begs that question, and then it answers it, and I think in a very simple and cheesy and just totally like contrasting way to the way it so interestingly set up that question. The answer was, in my experience, totally uninteresting. I get why they did it, and of course I felt like, I felt the human impulse of
that little human part of Alex's
that little human part in my heart was like, oh, happy ending, yay, Kat, yay. But the more interesting intellectual part of me was like, this is boring. Like I just, this whole movie was super interesting, and I was fascinated by these questions.
I think I get what you're saying. They went out of their way the whole time to be like, she's free, she makes these choices, she tells her weird dad husband to F off and says, I don't care if I see my brother again before he dies, and like does all these huge decisions, and then in the end is like, nah, you're right, I need a man.
At the end it's like one impassioned speech.
I kind of wish she would have gone back for the cat, seen Paul, and been like, nah, man, I'm leaving with the cat, I had to come back for the cat.
He's like, he smiles, and then he's like, she finds the cat, and he's like, you came back, and he's like, no.
She gets back in the cab with the cat.
As it should be. Justice for
and cat. She names it. That would be a perfect ending. She's like, no, I came back for Paul. And she names it, or whatever Fred, or whatever the fuck, Fred Jr. Like, Meowster Fred, whatever. But
oh God, then it would be another Audrey movie where she names an animal after a
guy. Oh, Alex didn't see last week's movie, but yeah, she does that. She did that. Last week. She named a dog after her man.
There we go. Yeah, that would have been a brilliant
on character.
That should have been her modus operandi in films.
And I feel like the way that the way the movie ends and the way that the book ends, I think they're still exploring the same idea of relinquishing any sense of loyalty, kind of in the name of wanting to be independent, but then in doing that, like kind of screwing over the one person or the one creature or the one cat that you've actually built a bond with, and sort of serving the audience that whole thought experiment of, okay, well, does being independent mean screwing over the people who love you? And I think both the movie and the book explore that just in different ways. The book, from what I understand, ends with she just goes off to Brazil, and then the cat, she can't find the cat, but then Paul sees the cat like in someone's house a week or two later, and he's just like, okay, it's Cat. I know Cat is safe, and I know Cat found its home, and I
Oh,
will never see Holly again, but I can only hope that the same thing happened for her.
oh, that's kind of charming.
Yeah, it's like it's obscure and a little bit more vague, and it has some hope to it, and also the possibility for tragedy. It's kind of like Schrodinger's cat, almost literally,
Okay, yeah.
which I enjoy. But I think both of them sort of still have an effective payoff of that whole idea of here's somebody who's cutting off the only thing that they've shown loyalty to, and it's really sad. And then the movie gives us the Hollywood version of that, which is she kind of sees the error of it and she reverses it and she just embraces love, whereas
That
in
was
she runs away from it.
that was also in the day of Hollywood where like if you didn't have a girl end up with a guy, your movie, if it was a mainstream film, was not going to
Oh well,
not going to do well.
I think the code might have still been in effect, so they legally had to, like, it had to end.
Oh. Oh.
Punishable by.
Punishable
Well,
by the church.
talking
No,
about
yeah.
different things that can be seen different ways, things that could have been done differently. Are we not shocked, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's been 30 remakes of it and I don't know. Are we not shocked that nobody's redone this film that I
It's
know
one of
of?
those things where it's so ingrained in our consciousness as like this is Audrey's role that people would be afraid to touch it. There might even, well, I don't know for a fact if Truman Capote, like, if the estate has a stronghold on the material, or maybe they can't do it legally, but it does feel
That's
like
what I'm
material
wondering.
that's ripe for revisitation.
It's so easily
It is a
modernized.
It was on Broadway within the last like 10 years.
Okay.
I don't
But
think
like
it's a good musical, but it exists.
as a movie, I could see this being like super modernized. Like
Mhm.
I don't know, like she's got a an OF and he's like working at a club up the road or something. Like I don't know. There's just so many ways to modernize this story. And obviously there's a different ending. They could choose to go with that ending if they wanted. All the different men could be different types of people. Like they don't have to all be men now.
Yeah.
This story has it doesn't have to be Tiffany's necessarily. I would definitely make it something. If it's a donut shop, you better call it Tiffany's. Like you got to do something.
But you can't call it
to tie
breakfast because the whole you can't
Like breakfast at Tim
Brunch.
Hortons.
Oh
Yeah.
my
you know
god!
you can't do that. It has to be like
brunch at Tiffany's. Oh my god, that's the most modern like retelling of it you could have.
Well, I think it
Grab
needs
brunch at Tiffany's.
it's not Tiffany's. It needs to be something that's equally like out of reach and high.
yeah. No, well, yeah. I also think it has to be the play on words though. You can't make it a food event at a food shop. You have to, if it's going to be a food shop, it has to be a non-food event. So
Brunch
like
at the Genius
doing
Bar?
laundry. Yeah, or something like that, you know. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's just so ripe for it. I feel like it would just take to it so well. I'm super shocked we didn't get one in the 80s. I'm shocked we didn't get one in the 90s. Like
I'm
I don't
wondering
know.
if it would.
Feels like it would have worked.
I feel like it could work, but I think it's also so of its time period. And
I mean, let's be honest. This storyline has been done. It just isn't a retelling of Breakfast at Tiffany's. Like,
yeah. There have been many movies that have more or less told this story to more or less of an effective degree, and more or less of a like character and all that, right? So
more or less, yeah.
But I agree. Yeah.
I think putting it in a modern context, especially if it were to go back to the book ending, what I think is really effective with the book ending from the Wikipedia article that I read. I can't speak from the experience of having read it, but I think there's a lot of sadness in the lack of being able to ever communicate with her again, because like they don't have social media, they don't have phones, they don't have internet. Like if she leaves and she goes to Brazil or wherever, and all you have are telegrams and landlines, like it has so much more weight, the reality of I'll never see this person again. Almost the same weight of like, let me throw the cat out of the taxi and I might never see this cat again. And I think the finality of that is what I find really.
Yeah, that's true. Once she moves to another country back then, that's way more final than anything that could happen now, pretty much.
Yeah, I kind of disagree, or actually fully 100%. No, I disagree in the sense that like I think because it still would have been possible to send a telegram or a message or whatever, right? So
maybe, but this guy has a lot of power. Like she might That's kind of the impression I was getting, is like she would have been kind of locked away.
Yeah, like I think
Oh,
it's easier to lose someone or to separate yourself 50, 60 years ago than it is now.
yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And like the whole premise of like the steps you would, yeah, communication is instant now, virtually everywhere around the world, right? Like I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
I'm more so disputing this idea that like you couldn't more or less communicate the same thing. Which, and what I mean is that like today, even though theoretically anybody with my number can reach me relatively instantaneously, I can. I mean, aside from like the technical elements of like blocking and all those other things, like if somebody for a reasonable person, if they understand that I don't want to talk to them anymore or whatever, if I broke up with somebody, like, and we had an understanding that, okay, our relationship is more or less over and yeah, we can be amicable or whatever, but we're not really carrying anything on right now, then it's like, well, I mean, like they're not, we're not going to be chatting all the time, like we're probably not going to be chatting potentially ever again, even today. So even if it wasn't some horrendous breakup, So in that same vein, I'm saying you can, similar to there, it wouldn't have been impossible for them to communicate if they wanted to, but there was an understanding of the way the movie ends, because it's also the way the movie ends. She's not going to be with the powerful British guy. She's just going to Brazil to not waste the plane ticket and do who the heck knows what. Mm-hmm. And he's given his last impassioned, presumably in the book it's the same or more or less the same thing, but his last impassioned speech here. So it's like, this is the ultimatum. I'm telling you my mind. Here's your engraved ring back or whatever. Peace. If you run after me right now, sure, maybe there's reconciliation, but otherwise we're pretty much not speaking anymore. So, and I'm saying you can more or less communicate the same thing today, where it's like, if you just make it clear that two people have ended that relationship, whatever the nature of that relationship is, it's believable that they're not going to speak to each other ever again, even though Instagram and everything.
It's definitely in the realm of possibility. I think
I just think it wouldn't be that hard. I don't think
the story, the like what I find really sad about the cat scene specifically, as outside of the obvious, like as a cat lover, it's hard for me to see a cat, my favorite creature, thrown out of a cab and left to its own defenses in the
freed into the wilds of New York.
It's not an outdoor
natural habitat.
It would die. But
cats are very resilient.
It's the fact that she's making an action that she can't take back after the fact. And so I think, like, going back to the whole communication thing, if you cut ties and then you don't have as many resources to reach out to somebody or to find somebody, if you eventually change your mind, I think that just holds more weight for me. Like that's why
I'll leave you with that. I just disagree. I think the movie doesn't like I don't think it's part of the theme of the movie to be aware of like, oh, even if she did change her mind, it would be that much harder. I think the movie wants us to understand that, Paul is done with her. And I guess the book, if it was going with the book ending, we would more or less understand there's this separation and Paul having that thought of, I hope she's found somebody. I would say more or less has less to do with because she's in another country. And even if I wanted to help her, I couldn't do it. And is more just like that relationship is done. She's doing her own thing. I've tried 3 times or whatever to reach her and she's rejected me. So he has that line.
In the book, the relationship dynamic I think is different.
Slightly different.
Yeah.
Because you said he's also not like in love with her or whatever necessarily, or at least not romantically in the same way.
Yeah. When I was watching this, just as someone who loves to read a book after they've seen a movie, I got a big feeling, kind of how I found out Roger Rabbit was, that this book, I have a big feeling, is much darker than this movie, or at least more explicit in what's going on. And then like allows you to feel if it's dark or not, I suppose. But I got that feeling like there's just like a lot that's kind of left either up to interpretation or like, how did we get from point A to point B on this occurrence? Like, there's just kind of a lot where you can be like, oh yeah, read between the lines.
Yeah, and this movie just feels very heavily sanitized for what's happening. Like, I almost feel like you could read the screenplay for this and it would come across as much darker than the movie itself does. I think the movie is directed almost with a very romantic comedy vibe to it. And Audrey Hepburn having just kind of that calm, like flighty vibe that she has, the charm that she has contributes to that. But just again, the fact that she's like in cahoots, either knowingly or mostly unknowingly, with the guy who's in jail to help out with whatever those illegal operations are, and she's having her
Oh yeah, then there's that whole dynamic.
she's doing so many things. She's doing so many shady, sketchy things, and I think Audrey plays it, or she was directed to just be totally oblivious to all the things that she's doing.
Yeah, I think
willfully
if
ignorant.
She played this, yeah, if she played this sincerely, I mean, that would be, I think then the acting, then I could say she was genuinely miscast. If like she had been supposed to be playing this straight-faced and not kind of like ditzily, because like, I don't know, that's, to me, that's the whole point of this character, is that she's aloof and oblivious and is so self-centered that she can have all these other people in her life and not, not know what's going on.
Like, I think that's the discrepancy that makes the movie not fully work for me the way I want it to, because I do really like the story. I think I like the script on paper, and I like elements of Audrey's performance, but the fact that she's playing it so totally clueless makes it less interesting to me than a Holly who maybe knows what's going on but doesn't care, or is kind of turning a blind eye to all the stuff that's going on with Tony, whatever his name is, in jail.
See, that's how I see it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can take the point that Jeanette made of like she's so self-absorbed that she's, and like aloof. I like that word, self-absorbed. I like for that character, but I don't quite consider her ditzy, and at most I consider her willfully ignorant, where I think she's a smart enough character and
to stay ignorant.
Well, but like she's smart enough to be aware if she paid attention and wanted to.
Almost like a Scarlett O'Hara. Like, I'll eat you up and spit you out if I choose to know your business and I choose to know what I'm doing. Because like she obviously has an operation going on that's running quite, for her is running fine.
Yeah, and that's all she.
But stays intentionally ignorant of some things so that she can stay where she is.
Oh yeah, see, I like that interpretation. I just don't think Audrey was giving that to me. Like when she's telling Paul about the weather report, I genuinely believe she thinks it's a weather report. Or she's like, oh, they're just some funny words that I'm saying. I don't think I don't read Audrey as Holly as someone who knows that there could be the possibility of something else beyond.
Didn't you say that one of Audrey Hepburn's like qualities is that she's such an intelligent like actress, and like you always read intelligence in her? Yeah. So what about that, dude? You're talking about how you don't believe that Holly Golightly is aware of things, yet Audrey Hepburn can't help but come off as intelligent. That's not consistent. How do you reconcile these two things? How can a character that you're describing
Audrey is playing dumb? I think Audrey is.
But she can't play dumb. She can't help but be intelligent. That's what you said. She can't play dumb. Even playing dumb is ineffective for Audrey.
No.
Okay. Anyway,
I guess that's where the weird discrepancy is, because I feel like Audrey has a natural intelligence to her that I don't buy what she's playing as Holly, because I think she's making the actor choice that Holly is clueless. And that's why it's not reading to me.
Okay.
Like, I don't think Audrey Hepburn approached Holly Golightly as a character who has an inkling of a sense of what's actually happening. I think Audrey read the script and she was like, oh, she has her head in the clouds. She thinks it's a literal weather report. There it is. There's nothing deeper. There's nothing beyond that. And so that's why it's hard for me I think she was playing against her natural instincts and her natural way of being, which is just a very intelligent person. That's where the discrepancy reads as weird for me, because it's like two things at once.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I disagree.
I can see that. I mean, like I said, I could see a lot of other people being in this role. I guess not more so now. I don't know a ton of actresses of the time that I would put in there, but
Martha has a good pick. Elizabeth Taylor. I would have been on board for that.
Yeah, I guess she was she of the right age at this point?
She was pretty young at this. She was probably around the same age as Audrey.
Okay. I wanted to say, because I had a feeling, what's funny is about the snow in New Orleans line in this is that in 1958 and in 1963, it did snow in New Orleans. It snowed there a few times, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it snowed around 1961 at some point. And so I was like, I love that that was supposed to seem really strange. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it happened like twice, right? And like sizable amounts for the area, like 3 and 4.5 inches. Like, so that's a lot there. It's a lot, yeah.
Oh, Yoda, you know about Kitty Golightly? I have a cat puppet named Kitty Golightly.
Yes.
Yeah, she has a little tiara and sunglasses. I should have brought her actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can't see her.
Well, no, she's in the other room.
She's forbidden.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do disagree with both of you. I was, but again, with the caveat being, I was sleep deprived watching the film, and having said that, of course, I acknowledge that your alternative interpretations of her performance are valid, but for me personally, I thought Audrey Hepburn was a great choice. I don't know, I definitely have no part of me, would think like, oh, I wonder who else could have done this or better. I mean, with maybe the exception of her mother, but I mean, not at the time because her mother would have been too old and whatnot. But
Audrey Hepburn's mother?
Isn't Katharine Hepburn her mother, or that just a coincidence? Okay. I don't know these things, but Katharine Hepburn, a younger Katharine Hepburn, maybe would have been a great Holly Golightly.
Yes, I think so.
I guess name
delivery.
That's Kitty Golightly.
Kitty Golightly.
Is there a body?
Yeah.
It's a whole. It's like a taxidermied cat, except it's not stiff.
What do you mean? It's not she's a real cat.
Oh, okay. It's like the drugged cat in the end of the movie. It's just helpless to your manhandling.
Here's the cat.
Yeah, it's the cat. That's actually a great name for the cat in the film, right? Kitty Golightly.
Probably.
That would be a great book ending for the movie.
Yeah, this cat is actually
Kitty Golightly.
I got this cat
from Stratford.
Yeah, from the toy store that doesn't exist anymore. I love this kitty. Yes. Anyway, Kitty Golightly. Yeah. Glad she joined us.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh yeah, how did everyone feel about Mickey Rooney?
The yellow face, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I thought it was all like it wasn't funny.
Why you can't get an Asian person to do that role?
Well, that's the thing. They could have. They thought it was funny to not.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing. It's one like. Yeah, I mean it's the same thing as whatever the minstrel shows, right? Like this idea of these caricaturized racial stereotypes or whatever, like not even being like, oh man, this is gold. It'll work. It'll make our movie, funny if we,
tell everybody we have this romance in this. Where are we going to put Mickey Rooney?
Yeah, let's do this. It was interesting, right? I don't know. For me, anyway, it was interesting kind of seeing
really
that.
Really bad prosthetics too. I'm sure they looked fine at the time, but really bad prosthetics.
And I was kind of relieved that he didn't play a bigger role in the film because I knew going into it that was going to be a thing, but I thought he'd be more important than he was. So it was easy enough for me to just kind of ignore him. I mean, mine, he serves a plot purpose. Obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's. I mean, it's irrelevant. The fact that he's Asian or supposed to be Asian is totally irrelevant and incidental and unnecessary. But he served an effective purpose at being. Basically, what I'm saying is I liked Holly's interactions with him. Especially the first one, that first scene with them where she plays that little game of I'll even let you take pictures of me and all that kind of stuff. Right. That the demonstrating her her hold over her womanly power, as it were.
Well, and that was creepy. That was weird.
Creepy of her or creepy of him? Oh, creepy of him because he's I get to take pictures. Yeah. But anyway, Yeah, it's his the character wasn't like, yeah, it was it served
He's
no
from
purpose
California in the book,
having a
so they're
yellow
doing
face.
So
that.
unnecessary. They were just like, we need
And
a comic
yeah,
book
and it was
here.
so yeah, so I don't know, because like with anyway, I don't want to say something super controversial about like minstrel shows and stuff like that, but like suffice it to
I don't
say
want
that
to say that either. So
suffice it to say that like I was pretty much not entertained at all by him. And I
No.
found that interesting because at least usually these things are paired with something that is like fundamentally entertaining, whether it's like some, fart jokes or whatever. Like
You
it's
could
like
have made all
something.
the same jokes with just a little old man.
Yeah, and the
He did
jokes, but
not
the
need
jokes
to
weren't
be
even that
Asian.
funny. Yeah, but the jokes
He just
themselves weren't
needs to
that
be
funny.
pissed off that she's his neighbor. That's all that he has to do.
Yeah. Like you could have had a normal person, like non-caricature, a normal Asian person, a non-characterized,
Sounds
ethnic
like it didn't even
stereotype.
need to be like this
Yeah, it
person
didn't
was
need to
just
be.
from the West. The joke is he's from the West Coast and they're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Like,
I get that. California. Okay, yeah, that is funny.
yeah. So I assume
Yeah. But anyway, or like basically what I'm thinking, like, I don't know, like anyway, yeah, well, I won't say it because it might not come out right. I have no ill intentions, but I won't say it. But yeah, yeah, and it was just I wasn't entertained by it at all. I was just kind of like this is it's crazy, kind of, or not crazy, but so interesting that at the time this was considered like probably very funny and like whatever, such a good call. But yeah, that was my thought on him.
Is there anything else in this movie that we don't think has aged well? Like just blatantly hasn't aged well? Because I think lots of the other things we've discussed.
Well, it's not the earplugs. Let me tell you, I was really hip to those earplugs she was wearing. Like they had little decorations on them. I never seen that in my life.
I
I'm
wonder
like,
how many kids watching this would think she had earbuds in.
Yeah, yeah. But
like
even
I was
that,
like,
yeah.
oh wow, that's really cool. I think kind of the lack of shock and lack of concern and amount of help that Paul is willing to give to the weird father groom, like, and kind of like the lack of worry in general about how like sociopathic she is about just being like, nah, it's not my name, I'm a different person, like kind of just the lack of worry about that situation in general, the lack of alarm, the lack of worry about change of plan. No, I'm actually just not going to go with him. You get it, right? Like, I don't need help. You don't need help. Nobody here needs help.
I was totally behind her not going with him.
Yeah, I am. But the lack of any other concern about any part of that situation from beginning to end out of anybody involved in it. Like, first, the weird father groom guy's like, yeah, she ran away. I'm just coming back.
Why do you call him a weird father groom guy?
That's what he is.
He's just her husband.
But
yeah, but
he's not just her husband. You do not.
Or I guess it was annulled. I guess it was annulled.
Oh my god.
Her ex-husband. They only threw that in there. They only threw that at the end.
She was turning
of the
14,
scene.
Alex.
Was grooming Alex.
I refuse to call him her husband.
That was at the time. That's what it was. Unless you know something I don't.
I said, Texas. I just, so there's a lack of concern there on his part, and he's the one creeping me out to begin with. Then Paul's like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. Then he's like, tells Holly, yeah, sure, I'll help you. Like, Paul's just people pleasing left and right, doesn't care that this is all really bad and weird. And then Holly's like, I'll say I'm gonna go, and then I'm not gonna go. And then, like, you're not even gonna ask me how old I am. Nobody ever turns to her and goes, so how old are you? Nobody. Like, I don't know.
Like, during all this, it's another case of thinking, like, the story would be the context of the story would make such a difference if it was an actor I could believe was 20. First,
interesting.
Yeah, like, I don't believe her as being that young. I don't believe her as being from Texas. There's just so many things about Audrey in this
We went
role.
over
If
that.
they did it today,
Her
it would
accent,
be like
their speech therapy.
freaking
Oh yeah,
Sydney
you're right.
Sweeney or some
I,
BS.
I did enjoy how they shoehorned in the line where
And she did have a weird thing. Like she had certain, what was the word? I took a note of it.
you mean her haphazard attempts at sounding American?
No, yeah, no, she said horses. That's what it was. She had this, like, I don't know. I call it pseudo British. Like she had whatever that accent was at the time.
Transatlantic.
Yeah,
Like
that.
I swear she's trying to do transatlantic, but Katharine Hepburn, she's not. So like, as far as that's concerned, she's as good of an actor. I'm just saying, like, the accent situation is very strange.
Yeah, she like dropped it, but like I noticed weird things, and then she had the whole thing where like she used to speak one way or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm not saying that's what intentionally was going on, but that plot point does justify her having a weird accent and like shifting the way she says things. Because it's part of the character. She used to speak totally differently, apparently, and then learned French and
then like you said, Matt, she tries to do American, but I never noticed her trying to do American, because I don't think she was trying to do Texan. Like, if you're going to try to do American, wouldn't you try to do country so that you sound like you're from Texas?
I suspect maybe they tried that and it was so bad. They said
it was so bad.
Use your voice, Audrey. We'll write a line about how you learned French, and this is what we got.
Is Audrey British?
She's British, but she also grew up in Holland, so she has like a weird mix.
Yeah, she has a very like trans-European thing going on.
Okay.
But wouldn't you think that like a country accent would be easier to do than just a general American accent, because there's something to like lean into?
I feel like I think it would be harder to do a natural sounding country accent. I think a stereotypical one.
Yes, yeah.
It depends. It depends, right? I see what your point.
So many different regions that have.
If you're British, though, it's supposed to be easier to do a Southern accent, because that's where Southern accent is derived from, other than Cajun.
See, I've heard the same thing. Like I've in terms of like the similarity of like Old English or whatever, like back when they were colonizing or whatever. But I haven't heard that necessarily means it's easier for them. Like I haven't heard that thing.
So,
I haven't heard people like reporting that as a British person they find Southern accents. I see British people do like American accents, like Valley Girl and stuff, all the time as like a gimmick. I'm like, oh, that's funny.
I guess it just seems like it would be.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's a logic to it, but yeah. But yeah, I think accents are one of those things. Like in my experience with like, and I'm sure Matt can attest to this more or less. Like accents seem to be more or less like from individual to individual, and like it depends on your ear and your own personal facility. So it's like, like not even you could know multiple languages, and that might not translate into you being able to put on different accents like well. Aside from language, or whatever.
Leans into my overall perception that I don't think Audrey had a ton of natural range. I think she was good at what she was good at, which was tapping into emotional honesty and vulnerability really beautifully. A naturalism that was very close to who she was as a person. But when it came to creating a character that was separate from herself, I don't think that's where she always shone. And that's kind of where I don't want to say issue with this movie is, because I do really enjoy this movie and I enjoy her in this movie. But at the same time, if I can have this thought simultaneous, which feels contradictory, I don't want to say she ruins the story for me, but I don't think it is done justice to as well.
Yeah.
That's Holly. But this is also why I love her as Eliza in My Fair Lady, because I think that's a case where it necessitated her to go outside of what her natural ability was. And like she seemingly put in the work to like pull off the Cockney accent and to just actually create a character and commit to it. And it's so good. Well, I'm building it up too much. It might be terrible. We'll see.
I had a funny thought when I was watching, again, Sleep Deprivation. I was watching this movie and I recollected our discussion about My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
But like basically I had this like for like 5 minutes I was watching this movie being like, wait a minute, is this like a musical? Is this supposed to be like the hardest role in musical theater that Matt thinks is like for a woman? And like because where I had it was when she started singing in the movie. She had that one part where she was outside of the apartment singing, and I was like thinking to myself, and I was hearing it, and I was like, oh, that's probably not Audrey Hepburn, that's probably somebody else singing. And then I was thinking, wait a minute, I had this conversation where she doesn't sing in the movie, but otherwise she's great, and it's the hardest role for a woman in musical theater. Like, wait a minute,
that statement that Holly Golightly is the hardest.
Yeah, and then that's what I was, and I was trying to, and then I went from there. I was like, wait a minute, why is this? I mean, it's I love what Audrey's doing with this role, and it's a fascinating role in my opinion. But why is this the hardest role? What would be so gosh darn fundamentally deeply difficult about this? And then after 5 minutes, I was like, no, that's My Fair Lady. That's not this movie.
Yeah, it's not this movie.
But I'm happy to hear that there's a musical version of this that was or a play or whatever. I had that thought. Like,
it was a musical. It was on Broadway. I think it closed very quickly, so I'm assuming it's not that good. The only reason I know about it is because either Playbill or Broadway World did a featurette on training the cat, and so I watched it as cat, obviously, and like it was a whole thing about how they had a bunch of cats auditioning to just run across the stage to the girl playing Holly and to like jump into her arms. And when it happened,
nice.
Basically a cat that's a dog.
Yeah.
Chilly.
Yeah. Yeah. Just tie a string to it.
So I'm curious, since this is our Audrey marathon, we have spoken about her for better and for worse, but what was everyone's favorite Audrey specific moment in this film, and maybe least favorite Audrey specific moment? I think my favorite I touched on is the cat scene when she runs and she looks for the cat in the alleyway. Love it. I think my least favorite is when she's trying to drop French words casually.
Kel Rat.
Exactly. Kel Rat. Exactly. Yes. Kel
Rat.
I
love all that shit. That was great.
It feels so unnatural coming from Audrey. It's like, Audrey, you're not the type of
person. I didn't think it felt unnatural. Yeah, okay. I thought everything about her was natural except the end.
Not a fan of Kel Rat.
Hey, I know. I respect your opinion. It's your opinion. You have it. I respect that.
Sounded sarcastic, but I'll take the words. And
no, it's legitimate.
Okay. What was was Kel Rat your favorite Audrey moment, Alex?
Probably not my favorite. No, I'm trying to for favorite. I have a favorite line, which was it's I think I forget what she says. I didn't write the whole line down, but it was the top banana in the shock department line. She said something to the fact of like, it's hard being top banana in the shock department, like being so good at shocking people or whatever, I guess is the meaning of it. I think it's a fun line. Yeah, other than that, yeah, I don't know. I can't necessarily think of one moment. I did like all the Kel stuff. I liked so many moments. My least favorite was the ending. My least favorite was Audrey being like cheesy. I was like, I spent this whole time watching you do interesting, unusual things, both generally and what I would have expected out of a film in this time period. And now you're just showing me the thing I've seen over and over and over again.
But is that because of Audrey or because of the movie?
Well, it's hard to perfectly separate everything, but I think I as far as I can recollect, yeah, when I looked at Audrey doing that, like it was harder for me to buy her character in that situation, given all I've seen of her character. And part of that, I could argue, if Audrey was a better actress in those scenes, I wouldn't have felt that way. I'm not saying that's true. It might just be like it's clear that a big part of that is just me feeling like the character is contradicting itself almost, and the movie's not like doing enough to convince me that character has made that shift yet. But yeah, I did have that moment too of like looking at her and I'm like I don't know, like, yeah, I know you're supposed to be, I'm supposed to feel like you're having this emotional revelation or something as you look at the ring. And I liked the way I did like that aspect where like the movie didn't like zoom in on the ring or whatever. They just kind of like they didn't feed it to us in the spoon. I liked that too. Or I was like, oh, that's neat. That was the initial ring from Tiffany's, but they didn't like make the big deal that so many movies would have. Cheaply, but then they just moved on to another cheap moment with the cat.
Close-ups I feel like close-ups like that weren't as common.
Oh, I'm not saying they were common at the time or anything like that. I'm just saying as a thing, right? Like I feel like it's often enough that movies, especially like cheesy / just, I don't know, less interesting, more obvious movies have a habit of like it would of highlighting in some form or another these sort of moments or these plot points, right? And that was a plot point. Like he says, "I've been saving it for months. Here you go." And it's like there's a whole scene about them convincing the guy Tiffany's to it or whatever to engrave it. And then that movie doesn't mention it until this point, and the way it mentions it and the way it's kind of thrown about, I appreciate it. And I'm not saying maybe it's very common in movies of that era, but I think something like that typically in less interesting films would have been more highlighted. And I appreciated that the movie didn't be like, look, it's the ring, and just let it. It was a bit of one of those things like, as an audience member, it gives you something to like figure out. It wasn't a super hidden thing, but it was still a little bit of like, oh, that's the ring. I remember it. The movie didn't like write on big letters, "The ring from Tiffany's," more or less, right? So I like that. I think a lot of movies do that, generally speaking. But
yeah.
But yeah, having said that, I thought I did have the thought that like Audrey, like I just didn't. Yeah, I wasn't fully buying Audrey's performance in that scene. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I did. I mean, again, I had seen. I hadn't.
We seemingly have the same turning point, but for opposite reasons.
Yeah, like I can't. It's hard to say that separate of the character and the plot, because I've seen Audrey doing very different things and I haven't seen Sabrina, and I don't know if I've ever seen any other Audrey Hepburn film. So I've just seen this film of her, and I've seen her doing one thing, and then in the last bit of the movie, for a couple minutes or less, she does this thing. So I'm like, I can't. Yeah, sure, it's to do with the character and the plot and the contradictory, but yeah, it's also, that's all I have. I can't separate that. So yeah, in that way, Audrey, least favorite member.
Yeah, Jeanette.
My favorite is probably when she first meets. I want to say first meets Paul. No, when she goes to Paul's apartment that evening, just kind of her way
I like
of
that.
being in that scene is I love that scene of her. So like that, her right there, she was building on me at that point, and then there's a bumpy road for her character for me on from there. But as far as acting, that scene specifically, and then as far as acting goes from Audrey, like I said before, Audrey, I bless her, maybe she was a sober human being. She doesn't act drunk very well at all. She acts hungover well, I assume, because being hungover is just like having a cold and being really tired. So like that was fine, but drunk Audrey is not a good Audrey.
Well,
yeah, maybe that's another discrepancy for me with this role, is that I have a hard time buying Audrey being someone who has all of those vices, like the drinking and the powder rooming, and yeah. But she's also just so unique. Like the weird casting choices, I've deemed it, like, has created such a distinct character in film, where I almost wonder if it was someone who was more, I don't know, traditionally right for what Holly was established to be in the book, like a Marilyn Monroe or an Elizabeth Taylor, if she would have been as iconic as Audrey was in this role.
No, because like I said, I think it literally is because it kind of opens it up to look at this very pretty. Like, I don't know, the other two women are pretty good too. I don't know, like I said, it can be any woman. Because this was really the first instance of like, look how messed up this chick is, that I can remember seeing.
Yeah, we love
interesting though, because like back to that idea of like, I don't like, to me the movie was less highlighting, like it was kind of walking those two lines of like, look how messed up this woman is, but also look how powerful and like well it's
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think anytime a woman was depicted this way before, it was like, look how viceful this woman is. She's not to be taken seriously. She's not to be liked.
Yeah.
And this was one of the first ones this early on where I feel like they're like, nah, she's cool. That's what
she's
I mean
a real
by like
phoning.
Kind of heralding the free love time, like of like, it's cool. People can be like that.
Yeah.
Minus throwing the cat out of the taxi. Minus the animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What?
What? She what?
Be free. Be king of the jungle.
The
Be a
concrete.
trash panda.
The cat jumps out, and then Axl Rose jumps out from behind a crate.
The reference is lost on me, but it sounded funny.
Welcome to the jungle.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Welcome to the jungle.
Jungle, we got fun and games. Okay.
We got cat towers and rats. You got everything you want, but it's all made of trash. Trash panda.
Delightful. I had another thing I was going to say, but I can't remember. So, who's ready for the game?
Game time.
Yeah,
Game
time.
time.
Game time. Okay.
Game time.
This one involves visuals.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm very excited for this game. It's unlike anything we've done in a long time, if ever before. I do just need to, I need to get my scorecard up. So you will both need a writing device or a writing utensil.
Always.
Okay. Here we go. So we are going to be playing The Price is Right. I am going to show you the image of something that is currently available to buy at Tiffany's. And you have to tell me how much it costs.
Oh.
Whoever is closest without going over will get the point. And these are all in Canadian dollars because I was unable to access.
Oh! Okay, so add 1.4, like multiply 1.4, whatever you think in your head, Jeanette. Multiply by 1.4.
I tried to get the
Just
American.
tell you, the only class I didn't take that was honors was math.
And now you are just going to see an image and the name of this thing, but I do have the details available to read to you if you would like more information about what it actually is, like in terms of how many carats, what kind of gold, what kind of whatever.
Can I say this? I am going to have I'm going to pull a converter up. So if you see me on my phone, I very much promise I am not looking at the Tiffany's website. I'm going to pull up a dollar converter very quickly.
Oh, this is going to be so sad. Jeanette will see how useless our dollar is.
It's more. Okay.
I encourage you all to play along at home. Here we are. So this is our first item from Tiffany's. This is a Return to Tiffany, which is trademarked, heart tag stud earrings in silver. They are mini. So 2 earrings, silver. Okay. They are engraved. They say, please return to Tiffany & Co., New York, whatever.
Okay.
How many, what is it, carat in silver? How many, what quality of silver is this?
Here, I will read to you.
The sterling, I don't know.
It is sterling silver. So sterling silver.
And is this best closest without going over?
Closest without going over, yeah.
Okay.
These heart-shaped sterling silver earrings feature our distinctive Return to Tiffany's inscription.
Okay.
Inspired by the iconic key ring first introduced in 1969, the Return to Tiffany collection is a classic reinvented. Wear these playful earrings to add romantic notes to an otherwise minimal look.
Okay. I am ready.
Okay, wait, I'm going to be ready so soon.
Sorry, I look like a little cocoon. I'm
okay.
Right now.
I'm ready.
Okay, let's start with Alex.
Okay, $150 Canadian.
Canadian. Jeanette?
Okay, this is Canadian dollars.
$320.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's $370. Jeanette, you were basically right on the money.
Ah.
Which would be 250 American dollars.
How did you?
Is what I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
250 American is That's really depressing. Okay.
It comes out to $339 is what that would be. So I didn't want to go over, so I went with $320.
Yeah. See, yeah, okay.
I look at Tiffany's jewelry. I also look at Mignon Fragile, and I look at the stuff all the time. I don't buy it.
I look at nothing, but I'm learning.
Aaron has bought me 2 pieces of Tiffany's jewelry, so I will say that.
So is this where we find out how much he spent on them? This is going to be fun.
They're this sort of collection. This is like kind of like
it has Tiffany.
Their baseline Tiffany collect. Yeah, it's like the kind of honestly the stuff I like. It's very simple.
Like if I had any interest in getting something from Tiffany's, it would actually have all the things we're going to look at probably be these earrings because I like
Tiffany's is very not diamond oriented anymore. They're very silver and gold. Like that's kind of their thing. Yeah, they do still have a lot of diamond pieces, but it's not like
it's only for old people, as Audrey told us. Here we go.
Okay.
So we have the classic Tiffany knot necklace in gold, in rose gold with diamonds.
With the diamond diamonds. How many diamonds?
This is the necklace. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the Tiffany knot necklace.
They're right there, Alex. You can see there's like a few of them. They're paved into.
Yeah,
So
so
this
probably
is-
like 20 or 30 or something.
It's 18 karat rose gold with round brilliant
Okay.
diamonds. It's 15 inches long. The carat total weight is 0.33.
I
Okay.
forget. High carat or low carat better? There's a rule. What's the rule? Is
I
it
don't know.
golf rules?
I think high is better. I think higher carat is better.
I don't know. All right.
The description.
Feel like I'm going low, but
The entwined ends of Tiffany Knott's signature motif symbolize the power of connections between people. Oh my gosh, maybe that's why it's called Breakfast at Tiffany's, because it's about connections between people. But she doesn't want connections. Anyway, balancing strength and elegance, each Tiffany Knot design is a complex feature of craftsmanship. This necklace is crafted with rose gold and polished by hand for high shine. Each round, brilliant diamond, specifically chosen to meet Tiffany's high standards, is hand set at precise angles to maximize brilliance. Wear this necklace on its own or layered with necklaces of various lengths for a bold look.
Okay. I have no idea what this may cost, but I have a guess.
Okay, let's start with Jeanette this time.
1,000 Canadian dollars.
1,000 Canadian. Okay, Alex?
1,200 Canadian dollars.
You guessed higher, right, Alex?
Yes.
Jeanette, you get the point.
Okay, what was it?
It was $9,350.
Oh, well then Alex.
Does that mean I get
skipped
the
over.
point?
That's what I said. Yeah, you get the point.
Oh,
okay, I thought you said I
it
got
sounded
the
like you
point.
said
Sorry.
Jeanette got the point.
Oh, no. Well, I probably said then you get the point, but I meant Alex in my head. You was
Okay.
Alex.
Yes.
Uh,
I did go really low then. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Martha's doing very well. 7,000. She was.
yeah, I underestimated those diamonds.
Okay.
Add a whole bunch because that I think that thing on its own would be like 1,000 American. I guessed 750, which was stupid low.
All right.
Next, we have the Tiffany Jazz South Sea Pearl earrings. Let me see.
How many carats? Of
They're
pearlness?
pearls. You
Yeah,
can
pearl
measure pearls
carats.
and carats.
There's pure. I think pearls have like purity or something.
Oh, yeah.
Those-
Carat weight is 0.48.
because
That's
I was
right.
gonna say there are diamonds right above it though.
Oh.
I think. That's
Oh,
what's
never mind. Yeah,
connecting
you're
it.
right. The carat is for the
Yeah.
diamonds. So here we go. These are
So it's
earrings
pearls and
in
diamonds.
earrings in platinum with South Sea
In
cultured
platinum?
pearl. Yeah, they're in
That's
platinum.
expensive.
And round brilliant diamonds. The pearls are 11 millimeters and the carat total weight is 0.48.
Okay.
Shit. Okay, I'm just gonna. I've been under guessing the last two, so I'm going to
Let's
stick with
see.
my higher guess this time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
with
greedy.
Go greedy.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Martha's going to win it all. But
I should be looking at Martha's answer, to be honest. That's what I should be looking at. Yeah,
Yeah.
your mom's like, I know Tiffany's right.
Yeah. $16,000.
Your mother's a woman of distinction.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 16,000 for earrings? Oh my god!
I could. It's not what I'm guessing, but I could.
I'll start with
think I'm
Alex.
still-
What's your
I
guess?
think I'm still lowballing.
I'm guessing 5,000 Canadian dollars.
Okay, Jeanette.
Yeah, I think I lowballed again. I'm doing 1,200 because
It was 9,150.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta stop lowballing.
Yeah, you got to
Stop
join
it.
the. Get with it. Big money.
Big money, no
All
whammies.
right.
I was gonna
Platinum
say-
diamonds.
We have the Tiffany Victoria trademark graduated line necklace.
Oh, that's all diamonds. That's gonna be like $50,000 or something.
Is that all diamonds?
Hold on. Okay. Inspired by the fire and radiance of our superlative diamonds, Tiffany Victoria uses a unique combination of cuts for a distinctly romantic sensibility. This classic line necklace drapes in perfect proportion. Platinum with diamonds.
Oh, platinum. That's gonna be big
With
money.
diamonds, 16.25 inches long.
Okay.
Round brilliant diamonds, carat total weight 10.18. Marquise diamonds, carat total weight 0.21. So we have a mix
Okay.
of diamonds.
All right.
Totaling
So, and the last things were all 9,000 something dollars.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm
So-
I'm going with my trend. I'm gonna highball it.
Yeah,
Highball it.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to think up something.
Oh, you might
make it
beat me on
higher.
this one, Jeanette, if you highball it higher than me.
Mm.
Because even highballing
I don't know
it,
how high. I don't know how high my balls
even
can go. So
even highballing it, I've been so low.
Sure.
We'll start with Jeanette this time.
Oh, hold on. I haven't.
Your balls are the highest
Okay, here. I'll do this.
out of all the balls
Okay.
here. Oh,
15,000.
that's what I guess.
Oh,
Can I? Should I change it for the lulls?
Does somebody have to pick?
I'll go
15
higher.
or
I'll go
one?
15 and
I don't
1
know
if
what
you
we
want.
do in this case when there's a tie.
Well, you give both of us the
Just
point,
give us
or
both
none
the
of us
point,
the
yeah.
point.
No.
Or yeah,
Or
or
none
I'll
of us,
or
whatever.
I'll be willing to go 15 and 1.
Yeah,
Or
let Alex go.
Jeanette can go 15 and 1, but I want it because I think it's going to be higher.
Yeah, let him go. It's fine if he's willing to do it.
Okay, you're going 15 and 1, Alex?
Yeah, but remember, nobody can go over. So if we're both over, nobody
Yeah.
gets the point.
If it's exactly 15.
15 and 1 for me.
I accept. Alex, you get the point.
Woo!
How much was it?
$103,000.
I'm telling you, you can't go high enough in this game.
Oh wow, Martha again, very close.
Yep.
Oh God.
Coming in for the kill, Martha.
Martha, do you just look at the Tiffany's website when you
Now you know what to get your mother for Mother's Day, Matt.
Have you not wondered why your mother's always draped in diamonds and pearls and tiaras? You're just like, oh, that's just.
Well, I mean, this is pure platinum.
That's yeah.
Did you pick out a tiara for us to price?
Yeah.
Next, we have the Tiffany Titan by Pharrell. Is that how we say his name? By Pharrell Williams. Necklace in yellow gold with diamonds.
All right, more.
Oh boy, I like.
Is it platinum
yellow
here?
gold? I don't like yellow gold. No, it's yellow gold.
This is
you never know.
18 karat yellow gold with pave diamonds, link size medium, 16.75 inches long. Carat total weight is 3.71. Building on the house's legacy of collaborating with visionary artists, Tiffany Titan by Pharrell Williams is an expression of rebellion as a catalyst for creativity. These designs draw inspiration from Poseidon and his trident. An angular spear-shaped motif and softly contoured links are crafted from 18 karat gold for a striking look. Fishtail set pave diamonds allow light to enter from every angle, maximizing brilliance.
Okay.
Okay, what am I writing here?
I'm trying to decide if this is going to be more or less than that last one, but like yellow gold.
That last one was over 100,000.
It was 10 carats.
So, Jeanette, do you know? It's sounding to me like lower is better. I feel like carats like I don't know. I used to know. It's like a purity thing, right?
No. Like the last one was 10 carats.
No,
it broke.
Carat is not just the weight. Carat is like it's like a quality of the thing, of the metal. Like, because you can have like a pure or anything, right? You could have a high amount of a shitty quality thing and it'd be more expensive.
But I don't know.
Or you could have a low amount.
Higher carat has equaled higher dollar.
Yeah. No, has it?
I think so.
Okay. If you're stating that,
that's
then
why I'm saying
this must be cheap as fuck.
I'm gonna go.
Okay. Wait.
We'll start with Jeanette.
Okay.
80,000. Okay.
Oh my God, she's gonna win.
Alex.
I'm whatever. 15,000.
Alex gets the point.
Stop! How much is this one?
71,000.
Look at that!
God. I was close. But
you were so close.
Yes.
All
right.
I was flipping anyway.
We have the Return to Tiffany mini double heart tag pendant. Let me find the info. Heart.
This is where I need my.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Inspired by the iconic key figure first introduced in 1969, the Return to Tiffany collection is a classic reinvented. A delicate duo of engraved tags on a simple link chain exudes sophistication and elegance. 18 karat gold with Tiffany blue enamel finish on a 16 to 18-inch adjustable chain. Instantly recognizable, the signature Tiffany blue hue of this design's enamel finish has been as iconic as the brand itself since its founding in 1837.
Okay, I have my answer, I think.
Okay, let's go.
$900.
900, 650. Alex gets the point. It's $19.
It's 1900?
1,900, yeah.
Jeanette, have you been converting?
I have. I really have. I really thought that was 500.
I didn't think it was going to cross 1,000, but
yeah. That's obviously quite a bit more than 500 American.
Like,
so
honestly, it's one of the cheaper things, but this out of all the
that's
things
what I'm saying. Yeah.
This
is what it is? I shop silver. I don't like gold. I don't like platinum. I like silver. So like my brain is going to the silver price and I need to be
you need to get the iron price.
I love silver.
Next, we have the Schlambe by Tiffany and Co. MC Collier. Oh, I forgot this one's in French.
Mais oui, monsieur. Quel French. Quel français.
Quel rat.
How many carats and what type of gold?
Hold on. I wasn't able to read the like flowery description because it was in French, but I did use Google Translate to get this information. So it is platinum and 18 carat yellow gold with diamonds. Total carat weight of the diamonds are 47.27.
Oh my gosh, all those little things are diamonds. Oh my god.
Yes, they're all diamonds. Okay.
That's going to be crazy, dude.
All right.
Oh god. Do I dare go so high? You know what? I'm going to go high. I'm going to go higher than I've ever dreamed of going. All right. I'm going to go to the sky with this one. And you know what? I'm going to be like only 10% of the price or some garbage. I'm going to guess like 20% like I usually do with these things, but okay.
Oh my god.
Yes, Yoda. I think it's the Minion song guy. He helped design something for Tiffany's.
I've got my answer.
All right, let's start with Alex.
All right. $200,000 Canadian.
Wow. Crazy.
That's the greatest amount we have yet entertained on this show.
All right.
Jeanette? Was that?
340,000 Canadian.
340,000 Canadian. Jeanette gets the point.
I knew it. It's like $1 million or something.
It's 635,000.
Yeah. So I don't know how much. I had guessed 250,000 American, knowing it's probably 300,000 American. Just didn't want to go.
No, 635 Canadian. I feel like that would be almost 500,000.
That would be well above what I was guessing.
All right. Next. Imagine to have that much money to just spend on a necklace.
You know, most people who have those things, they rent them. They loan them.
Oh, that makes sense. Still though. Tiffany,
what I have is kind of a play on this. Mine is filled in. It's not a hollow heart, and it's got like pink enamel. It was my push present whenever Nola was born.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait a minute. Is a push present a present you get for pushing?
Yeah, except I had a C-section, so I got one anyway.
So it wasn't your push present. It was your cheating.
It was
the easy way out.
Get knocked up.
I'm joking.
Boy.
It's a joke.
I got knocked the F out and couldn't move my arms and legs for 5 hours.
All right, respect.
Yeah, I'm just saying I might actually get this one.
All right, let's start with Jeanette.
Oh, well, what? You're gonna read?
Oh, right, I forgot. I didn't read
the thing for Alex. I got too excited. Sorry.
Yeah, and I was too shocked by Alex's words. Brilliant beacons of optimism and hope, Tiffany keys are radiant symbols of a bright future. This timelessly elegant pendant is the epitome of understated glamour. Sterling silver. That's the only information it gives us.
Okay.
Jeanette.
650.
650. Okay. Alex.
Frickin' calculating. $500.
Neither of you get a point.
I knew it.
370.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess like 500 for this, just because it looks like slightly more decorated than mine. But that's cool. That makes sense.
Oh, so
these are very nice. I like.
It's in the same range of the earrings and everything.
Yeah, like I could buy this with one paycheck. I can't really say about any.
It's a realistic gift for some. Like you could actually give somebody this as a gift.
Yeah, but it's also I don't know. I'm not a fan. Well, actually, I like the earrings better at the beginning. Next, we have the Paloma Picasso olive leaf cuff.
Okay, describe.
No diamonds.
Yeah, it doesn't look like any diamonds.
No.
So, inspired by the olive branch, a symbol of peace and abundance. Narrow cuff in sterling silver, size medium. Original designs copyrighted by Paloma Picasso. That's all I have for you.
Okay.
So it's silver. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe this one is okay.
Okay, I have my answer.
Okay, we'll start with Jeanette this time.
You did last
we
time
did the
too,
conversion on.
Oh, did we? Okay, we'll start with that this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Well, I'm going to wait a bit. Let Jeanette do her business. I want to.
I got it.
To her detriment. 1,000 Canadian dollars.
Okay, Jeanette.
800 Canadian
Alex
dollars.
gets the point.
Damn.
For 1350.
Ooh.
1350. Okay.
I wonder if that's because I wonder if it's related to actual, like, is Paloma his granddaughter or something?
Maybe.
Well, it's also like a lot, like compared to like the earrings and the key thing, it's a lot like
Yeah.
more just silver, right?
Yeah.
Seemingly, anyway.
Seemingly. Okay, so for the final one will be our bonus question because I couldn't think of a bonus question for this. So, how many points would we like to wager? Jeanette has 2. Alex has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alex has 7.
Tiffany Master.
Yeah, all of them.
All of them, okay.
I'll wager whatever 4.
Okay. 4. We're looking at the Tiffany 1837 ring in sterling silver, or not sterling, in silver, narrow. Let me find the info.
Okay.
1837. Here we go. Proudly inscribed with the year Tiffany was founded, the Tiffany 1837 trademark collection is defined by sleek curves and contours. That's what they say about me, too. This simple ring exudes sophisticated elegance.
It doesn't describe. Oh, it's just sterling silver. You
Sterling
said.
silver, yeah. Also, technically, Martha's winning with like.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, I have my answer.
Okay, we'll start with Jeanette this time, though.
400.
400. Okay. Alex?
She might take this one. 600.
600. Jeanette, it was exactly $400.
Whoa! Do I get extra points like on Price is Right?
Yeah,
Whenever
you
I get
do.
it
You get
right
that-
on the.
It gets tripled. So you get 2, 4, 6.
I get to be 1 point
You
behind
get-
Alex.
No,
Yay!
No. I'm left with 3.
Oh yeah, because you have 3.
Jeanette won. Jeanette is the Tiffany master.
Yay!
She's beauty and she's Tiffany.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Said
He doesn't even like the movie. This is a sham.
I like
It's
the movie.
okay.
I just don't like Audrey in the movie. I like the
I
movie.
didn't like it
Not
as much
you,
as I thought I
Jeanette.
was going to.
Oh, Jeanette.
Yeah, I think I expected to be like, oh my god, she's an icon, and I'm like, she's cool.
She is an icon and cool.
Audrey's an icon. Holly is obnoxious in the same ways that Ariel is.
And also, that we compared Sabrina
What?
to Ariel last week too.
Yeah,
Ariel from Little
these chicks
Mermaid?
are obnoxious.
Yeah, Audrey seems to play really obnoxious girls.
Unfortunately for me so far, yeah,
But she's so lovely, we can't hate her for it.
she is. Yeah.
Jeanette,
but that's-
I have a hard time believing that young, even not so young and currently young Jeanette is not a little bit obnoxious.
Oh, I mean, I think that's
doesn't have-
blatantly obvious to anyone that watches this show.
Well, that's what I'm
So,
saying. So I don't know where you get off here. Maybe it's a takes one to know one type situation here.
Yeah, well, I think
You-
whenever you feel confronted with a mirror of yourself, you're like, oh no.
Oh no.
You
And
don't
then
like
curse
it.
it. Kill it with fire. All right. I'll
Speaking of
accept
Kill It
that.
with fire, next week, I think she's being abused by
Avatar
cowboys
3.
or something. So maybe there's fire. Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, is this my
The
pick?
Outside. Yeah, it's your movie next week.
No, mine was The Unforgiven.
Or sorry, The Unforgiven. I don't know, whatever your movie was with the Cowboys
Okay.
and John Ford. Is that movie?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it was The Outsiders. Is The Unforgiven?
it's The Unforgiven.
That sounds right. Yeah.
That
was-
sounds better.
Something like that. Yeah, I know nothing about this movie. So here we go. I'm excited to see if it's another film where a bunch of men are standing around deciding what she's going to do.
What
with it.
Audrey's, what she's going to do with her life.
So that's
Men
kind
who
of
are
the
far
recurring-
too old for her.
it's the recurring theme of all these films.
Hmm.
We'll get there when we get there. Anyway,
What will
hooray!
women do with her life next week?
No, this whole movie was about men not doing things with their life. She was doing
Well,
things with her own
trying.
life.
This movie where she
They were
pushed-
trying, but she
Yes,
was
movie
doing it. Men weren't doing anything with her life. They were trying hopelessly. She was.
Speaking of hopelessly, when are we going to do Grease?
Grease?
Grease.
Wait a minute. Audrey Hepburn's in Grease?
No, hopelessly made me think of Hopelessly Devoted.
Oh.
Yeah.
One day, I'm sure we can do
One
Grease.
day. I don't know. That just popped into my head.
I don't mind if we never do Grease. But... I don't hate the movie, but there's something about it.
Yeah, because Grease is the word.
Yeah.
The word
That whole thing about Alex doesn't like to be confronted with characters who are too similar to him.
Which character in Grease is too similar to me?
Frenchie.
Sandy.
I'll take the guy who
sings character at all.
I'll take the guy who sings Beauty School Dropout or whatever. That can be my character.
That's Frenchie.
No, isn't there a guy in like an Elvis outfit? Yeah, the angel.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Frankie Valli?
I don't know. Frankie Valli sings the opening. No. It's Frankie Avalon, I think.
He's like whatever.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take us down a Grease path. Audrey would have been great in Grease.
She would have been terrible in Grease.
I'm sure she would have been great if she's anything like in this movie. Yeah, this is the only thing I've ever seen her in.
Although maybe she could have been Sandy. I don't know. Would have been weird. Okay, there we go. We'll see you next week for the cowboy movie. Closing thoughts on Breakfast at Tiffany's. If you could describe this film in 4 words, what would those words be? Mine would be cat, miscast, interesting, rewatchable.
Mine will be 4 separate words. I don't think it's 4 words either. It's 5 words. Not as good as I'd expected. That's way more words, but that's what I'm going to sum it up as. It's not as good as I'd expected.
Okay. Alex, you're shaking your head.
I can't count, Alex. It's all right.
I loved this movie very much. It may be one of my favorite syllable counting movies. It's going on the list. I really like it. And
you look like you're speaking Spanglish, but in sign language.
That's what I'm doing. And my words are, it's tough being top banana in the shock department.
Yeah,
I'll take it. All right, and with that, friends, we'll all reconvene next week to talk about The Unforgiven or The Outside? The Unforgiven. The Unforgiven.
I mean, The Outsiders might be on the list, but it's not what I picked.
I don't know what The Outsiders is. Right, it's The Unforgiven. Oh, Martha has good words. I love the clothes. We didn't talk about the clothes at all, but they all looked good. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Yeah, we talked about the earbud fashion.
That's true, we did.
Yeah.
The hat, though. The hat's where it's at. I really like the hat.
The hat's where it's at.
What about the mask?
Kitty, go lightly. There we go. It's that time, friends. Tell everyone who you are, what you do.
Hello. I'm Jeanette. You can find me here next week. You can find me on We Like Theme Parks podcast every Thursday on a new episode or on hundreds of episodes before that. And yeah, you can find me at TinkerJ787 on Instagram. That's just about me and sometimes Disney and most recently rock concerts.
Woo! Thank you, Jeanette.
I am me. I really like this movie. And okay, here's the thing. I was pulling in the driveway as I arrived home from work today, rushing, as you can imagine, to make it to this get together. And as I pull in, I notice I'm pulling in relatively kind of quickly, and whatever, like I'm in a rush. But I noticed like a fuzzy furry thing, just poking out of where I can see right through the windshield. And I'm like, what is that? Is that a plant? Is that a tail? Is that the cat? Like my cat? What is that? I don't know. So I kind of stop the car. I slowly back out to see what I can see. Right. And it's all clear. It's all safe to back up. And it's a skunk. And it's a skunk with its butthole looking at me. Its tail is perched up and it's got a little cloaca or whatever aimed right at me at the car. And it's just staying there. It's like the tail, and the tail was like shaking too. The tail was like vibrating, little cloaca vibrating. And I'm like, is that skunk just like unloading its its juice? Is it spraying all over the car and the world around me right now? What's going on? So I like back out a bit more, and I'm
Alex,
like,
I'm literally watching the viewership go down as you tell this story. It's too good for them.
thank you very much. Appreciate you said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I'm backing out slowly, and it's basically it moves off, but like it doesn't run away, and it's like digging for something, and I'm trying to figure out like what do I do with the skunk? What do I, do I honk? Do I flash? Do I try to scare it? Is that just gonna, if it didn't spray, is it gonna make it spray? And then furthermore, if I do manage to get it to leave, am I gonna walk out, like get out of the car into like an invisible mist of horrid skunk smell? And so you can imagine, right? You can imagine my conflict.
Yeah. Did you though?
And well, so what ended up happening is like it like very slowly and gradually, relatively speaking, like it kind of was moving around doing things, and then it kind of like scurried in its own time, and it took its time and its leisure to like it kind of scurried in a far enough away, out of sight, as it were. When I was like, okay, it's more or less gone, and then and then yeah, and then I gathered my things in the car. Took a breath, and then opened the door, closed the door, speed walked to the door, and got inside. And I couldn't, I sniffed around, I didn't smell anything, and but I had a moment there. I was like, it's whatever. It was like 8:03 or 4 or something when I pulled in, and
We
I'm
just
like,
got 3 more viewers. Thank you.
hey,
Oh,
hashtag.
We just lost one though.
Well, hashtag skunk, guys. If you're watching, hashtag skunk. Let's get that trending. That'll help out the channel very much. We love skunks here. But yeah, so it was a time. It was a time. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Alex. Thank you for the bravery.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to bring bravery.
Thank you, and you do bring bravery. The most brave. The most
Kel brave.
Kel
brave.
Kel
Trey brave.
Kel Trey.
Trey
Kel.
Trey Kel.
Trey Kel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And toi Kel.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Thank you all for joining. Join us next week for the cowboy movie. We'll see you then. Matt.
Oh yeah.
Up for one. Yeah.
I'm doing my Audrey Hepburn drunk impression.
Okay, I'll do my Audrey Hepburn hungover impression. Okay, how do you end this?
I can't